Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special cathode radiant edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party! Monster! We're radiant! Coming at you through the air!
Oh, that's what that is. Okay. All right.
Antenna's picking it up. Yes!
I just love what you do with Foley. I really do.
Well, and speaking of Foley, and good Foley, who are you, sir?
I'm Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Foley.
And for this episode, we have a very special guest. And we are going to do something kind of crazy, but we're going to let James introduce our very special guest.
Right.
Well, we have been looking forward to having this guest on for a long time. He's based in Boston, Massachusetts, where he was nominated by the Boston Phoenix as Best Comedian in Boston, and in 2013 was named one of the city's best comics and stand-up comedians by CBS Boston.
No.
Fantastic.
He's toured with comedian Todd Barry, and he's opened for Patton Oswalt.
Nice.
He's good too.
Tig Notaro, Bob Saget, and John Oliver, among others.
Cool.
Since 2014, he's hosted his own podcast, TV Guidance Counselor.
TV Guidance Counselor.
Guests have included Amy Sedaris, Vanessa Angel, and friends of Monster Party, Dave Higgins, Jackie Cation, Steve Vanos, and Lorraine Newman.
We're in good company here.
Yes, we are.
He's also been a frequent guest on the Dana Gould Hour. Gentlemen, let's give a warm
vaguely familiar with him.
a warm welcome to Ken Reid.
Ken Reid.
All right, Ken.
That made me sound accomplished.
You are. That's impressive.
Yeah.
In the before times.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And what did we say what our topic was?
We have not, but this is the perfect topic for our guest.
True.
Okay.
The topic is TV movie flashbacks.
TV movie flashbacks. Whoa! I've got
going
flashbacks.
back in time.
Cool.
The screen is getting blurry.
It's going black and white.
Man, I can taste them.
Yeah. This is like, so we're talking like 70s, early 80s, kind of like a prime golden age, really, of the TV movie, especially the TV movie horror sci-fi themed, right? For us growing up.
Yeah. I mean, they sort of cable sort of ended the TV movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Stupid cable.
Well,
Now, Ken, on your show, TV Guidance Counselor, you have a comedian guest on for every episode, and you will correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll go through selections in TV Guide and discuss what your preferences would be. Is that right?
Yeah, so I own every issue of TV Guide.
Oh, that's amazing. I love going through old TV Guide.
Wait, did you say every issue?
Every single
More or
one.
less every issue. I'm pretty solid between like the 60s to 2000. Pre-60s it gets a little iffy, but I do have some back to the 40s. Pre-national, they call that, before it was bought up by TV Guide Philly. So someone picks an issue, they go through it, they write down what they watched that week, and then we just go through night by night and see like what they would watch that week.
There's nothing. I love going through TV guides from my childhood. I mean, because all of us have said this before on the show, we would go through and circle or highlight the horror or sci-fi movies that were playing, or the TV shows that we liked. You know, it was like we couldn't wait to get our hands on the new issue to go through to schedule our lives around these airings, which is something alien to everybody now.
Well, in a pre-video age, that's the only way you could see those movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had to get it while the getting was good. Like, it was going to play on this channel, and if you didn't see it at that time, it could be another year before it went around in rotation, or maybe never again. You never knew.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a bunch of TV guides in this. I have a TV guide spinning rack in my other room.
Nice.
And people would ask me, like, what do you have all these TV guides for? And I used to just say, for alibis. Where was I on what night? Oh, I was watching. So I had a podcast instead. But it is weird looking back and remembering like things that you're like, I specifically watched that.
That night. Yeah. One thing I always found weird too, when I would go through like ones in the 70s, for some reason I always felt like Ed Asner was on every other cover of TV Guide.
Pretty much.
I swear. I don't know why.
It was like Ed Asner or Cheryl Ladd.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
both
strange.
very accomplished.
Yes.
We never got a show with both of them together, which was a shame. I think that would have been a great top show.
It's not too late, is it?
No, they're both still around.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, there was like I said, it was like as a genre fan, you kind of had to do a little work, to like watch your favorite thing. Like, I mean, it was not easy. It was not at your fingertips. It was not.
Although the sheer amount of horror, mostly horror, some sci-fi, but mostly horror TV movies.
Yes.
It seemed like they were kind of catering to us because it seemed like every other week there was something that had to do with witchcraft. Or, a lot of witchcraft movies.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, they're essentially low-budget movies. So the best bang for your buck for a low-budget movie, especially then, is exploitation. And you're not going to get away with a lot of sex on TV, so they're going to go horror.
Right.
But you may not be able to get away with nudity, but you can get cloaks.
Yes.
As long as you could get a cloak, you were set.
And also there's the suggestion of nudity. Maybe it's a woman from her back, and there's a robe you see kind of come off and it shows like her bare shoulder.
Well, can you describe that again?
Or this is the one that always got me because Matt, these guys know I'm a foot guy. When you have the gown,
really?
drop down,
I didn't know that.
and you. Well, we've talked about this.
You're a foot guy?
Wait, okay, can I tell the story?
I'm sorry, Ken? We have to change the topic suddenly and abruptly.
Harry's foot fetish.
Okay, so it's like when you see a woman with her bare feet or something, and then you see the negligee or something drop, and you're all, Of course, you're not seeing it. Right? Well, come on.
But as an impression,
you need to write a book. You need to write... or some sort of slash fiction that involves feet and negligees.
You're implying that he hasn't already.
You know what? I know Larry. It's in his head. It's in his noodle.
Now
it doesn't exist unless it's on something. Paper.
Yes. Now, this is all very funny, but the point that we're trying to make is, like you said, you won't actually show nudity, but there were certain things that they would do to make that suggestion that someone's getting nude or something.
Although, Sean, what was the movie with Morgan Fairchild where they got in trouble? Didn't they get in trouble? And I think it's Morgan Fairchild, where she comes out of water.
Oh, The Seduction.
There you go. And that is Morgan Fairchild, right?
Yes, but
that is Morgan Fairchild.
That's a theatrical film, though.
It's a theatrical film?
That was a rated R. That was a rated R movie. Yeah.
That was David Schmoller who did Tourist Trap.
Yeah, with Andrew Stevens as his stalker. It's actually a really fun, trashy movie.
Did they play that on TV at any point and then get in trouble for that?
No, I think that there was a controversy because she was a famous TV actress. So it was sort of the same thing as the Lisa Bonet Angel Heart kind
yes.
of.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
As we all know, Morgan Fairchild was on Mork and Mindy.
That's right. She played Mork.
No. Ken, she played the shallow next door neighbor. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, but like as you're saying, is whether it's like titillating with sex or horror, because they were low budgets. Yes, this was like the 70s on television, but for especially our age growing up, it was still very effective watching these mild by today's standards, certainly. But there's some really creepy, suspenseful stuff, back then for kids, watching on television. I'm sure you agree, right?
Ken?
I mean, like there's so many titles that we remember as kids that just are, burned into our minds.
Do you have a favorite that comes to mind?
Me?
Yeah.
My year is slightly later. So like one of my favorites is from 1985 called The Midnight Hour.
Yeah.
Seen that? Sherry Belafonte and LeVar Burton, and there's zombies and monsters, and it's more
like a fun comedy kind of.
It is, but there's some like truly terrifying scenes in it.
Yeah.
And there's some great monsters, and then at the end, everyone's still dead. Like, it's not everything. It's a great Halloween movie, but for the 70s, it's cheating a little bit, and you could probably do a whole episode on Stephen King adaptions for television. But Salem's Lot is maybe the greatest made-for-TV horror event ever, and it is horrifying. And the scenes in that movie, it improves on the book. Like, Barlow wasn't like that in the book.
See,
him a monster.
Yes, visually he's fun. It's a rip-off of Nosferatu,
right?
And in the book I really liked the fact that the vampire was this intelligent, manipulative Dracula-esque character instead of a drooling monster. But for just pure shock value, it's great. And I would also say that a lot of the creepy scenes, like the kid floating outside the window, that's pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's funny you should say that, Matt, because just recently, so here we are, August 2020, that little scene and that little boy was voted as one of the creepiest segments of kids in television, by the way.
And if you are going to
that moment haunted me for years.
Yeah, and if you're going to cast a character, if you're going to do a character as like Nosferatu type vampire, you can't get any better casting than casting Reggie Nalder as that character.
He barely had makeup on.
Yeah, the perfect character actor to be playing that role.
Could you just come by?
I love they sort of took the things that Matt liked of Barlow in the book, and that's sort of the James Mason character.
Which is
exactly.
Yeah.
They reversed it.
In some of the most terrifying, like the scene where Fred Willard gets caught cheating with that guy's wife, and the guy's with a shotgun on him. Nothing supernatural in that scene at all, and one of the most terrifying, suspenseful scenes.
It was pretty intense for a TV movie miniseries for sure. It was kind of up the ante a bit.
And Toby Hooper directed it. I mean, that's the other great thing. If you look at the people that directed a lot of the made-for-TV movies, they really pulled from horror and exploitation because Wes Craven made 4, I think, because they were like, oh, who can make a movie in a week for this amount of money?
Right.
Now, wait a minute. I just did some research here. The movie, The Initiation of Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm being told it's a made-for-television movie.
Mm-hmm.
1978, and this is the one with Morgan Fairchild wearing a wet T-shirt.
Oh, a wet T-shirt. Okay, yes,
Just to clear that up.
Yeah.
Is that Kay Lenz? Is that the one he's in that?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty good one. If you look at later when Gene Roddenberry made the great TV movie Spectre with Robert Culp. That was actually which involves Satanism and satanic black masses. They actually released a version of that in theaters, I think in the UK, with some some very mild, but some added like nudity during like the devil's orgy scene or whatever. Yeah. So even that, But like I think we all grew up, 70s, like we've talked about many times, but like those touch-tone TV movies from the 70s, like Trilogy of Terror and Don't Be Afraid of the Dark and Duel, Gargoyles. Those are ones that, like, as kids, we just ate up.
I have Spectre and Don't Be Afraid of the Dark on 16 millimeter.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how, the business model was that you'd air it on TV in the US and then you'd make all your money selling it as a theatrical movie. So almost in Europe and Japan, and almost every single made for TV movie, especially the horror and exploitation ones, came out in theaters over there, which is another reason why that those travel a lot more than dramas and comedies.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Plus they also many of those TV movies doubled as potential pilots for series.
Including Salem's Lot.
Inclusion and Spectre, and a lot of these, they didn't become series, but they were. So it was a good way for the network to kind of hedge their bets because they could release a one-time movie and hopefully do good in the ratings. But it also, if it did well enough, it could spawn an actual series.
I didn't know Salem's Lot was considered as a possible series.
Yeah, they at the ending, if you remember when they tack on that scene in Mexico,
right.
Where they're like hunting and running. They had plans to make sort of it would have been lame. It would have been like an Incredible Hulk,
fugitive versus vampires. Yeah.
Hey, Incredible Hulk though was a great show.
A great show.
I did like that show. That show is pretty well written for a 70s superhero show.
That music, that lonely music.
It's better than the Spider-Man TV series from the 70s.
Is true.
That's for sure.
But it's not better than the Japanese Spider-Man.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, Lou Ferrigno, Bill Bixby, I loved the Hulk.
It's an enjoyable show. It really is.
But the only problem with it is, if you look at what was going on in the comics, it was a lot more cosmic, and in the TV show, it's literally like Hulk fights a bulldozer.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Or bear.
And now look. Okay, so
some counterfeiters.
I'm a little older than you, so hey, when that bulldozer shows up, I'm in there hook, line, and sinker. Okay, and so I want the Hulk to beat the bulldozer. So I know you're.
Don't we all?
You're a little younger. You're scrappy, and you're more.
Been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if the Hulk fought Killdozer?
Now we're talking.
Cool TV movie.
Are you familiar with the Hulk out list? I've talked about it on my show a lot, but I don't know if you guys know it. So Ken Johnson, who did the Hulk TV show, he also did V and Alien Nation and a bunch of other great genre shows. Someone compiled a list of everything that caused Banner to Hulk out in every episode and just made a PDF and sent it to Ken Johnson. He put it on his website. It's one of the funniest things I've ever read. It is not editorialized. It is 100% real. And it's literally like a boulder falls on him, doesn't have change for the phone, falls down a well. It's just
LSD.
It's a straight list, and it's so funny.
My milk is sour.
Ken, first of all, before I go any further, Ken, I want to see this list. Yeah. And by the way, Sean, I would be pissed if my milk were sour too. So don't, and everything Ken said, you guys can toss it off. It's like, no, guys, don't you remember before the days of cell phones? And if you didn't have a dime, how angry you would get?
Larry,
come on, people.
Larry, if you were Bruce Banner, you would never not be the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
You are angry all the time.
Where's my straw?
Yeah.
The fun one, he literally is like, I don't have 25 cents. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's great. Just stay inside. Just stay in your room and don't go outside. You'll never become the Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Well, speaking of superheroes and pilots, does anybody remember tuning into the Wonder Woman TV movie with Kathy Lee Crosby?
Yes.
And
I own it on DVD.
I was bitterly disappointed at the time.
Yes.
Because I was expecting classic Wonder Woman, not like the 68 mod women's lib Wonder Woman that they kind of tried to.
She's dressed like she is a stewardess for Wonder Woman Airlines.
But being
stewardess.
That's Kathy Lee Crosby dressed as a stewardess, that in itself is maybe worth watching. But yes, it's pretty lame. It does. Ricardo Montalban is like the bad guy, but he's like a really pretty lame bad guy. And everything changed once Linda Carter took.
That they did it right.
Strange made for TV movie.
Yeah, I have that one
good.
too. Yeah,
that was pretty good. Aside from the porn stat, like he looks like John Holmes.
Yeah, he does. Kind of.
Yes, he does.
That would have made a good TV series, though.
Absolutely.
And it had what's her name as Morgan Le Fay from Play Misty for Me. And
Jessica Walter.
Jessica Walters.
Walters.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Walter. Yeah.
Say she's Jessica great. Walters.
Jessica Walters.
But the point here is, hey, James, you're bringing up this Wonder Woman movie that you saw and you were disappointed. You didn't like it because it wasn't the classic Wonder Woman comic.
It wasn't the Wonder Woman I knew. Yeah.
Right.
But then when we got to Linda Carter, now that was our Wonder Woman. And the thing that always bugged me is I wanted Wonder Woman to stay in the World War II. I didn't like the later versions.
Right. Now,
there's some great weird 70s ones. Yes.
Yeah, do you remember there was a time in the comic books when Wonder Woman was no longer like she was like a powerful feminist
she was Emma Peel.
Yes. Yeah. And so she didn't even wear the costume anymore. She was like she was like Emma Peel.
What era was
late
that?
60s, like 67 to like 69. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was weird.
I pitched a revisiting of that because she has this like martial arts sensei master in it that teaches her kung fu, but that it was I wanted them to do a retrocon where it was Mr. Mind had of Shazam, the little mind control
the caterpillar.
Had it was his whole plot. Like he was trying to depower Wonder Woman whole thing to have some like crazy 60s thing, but people weren't having it.
I'd watch that.
Now, Ken, have you ever seen a TV movie from the 70s called When Michael Calls?
Yes.
Oh,
I love that one. That's a really creepy one. Yeah, it's like Elizabeth Ashley. There's this kid who supposedly died, but she's getting phone calls from him. And Michael Douglas is in it, Ben Gazzara. It's a really good cast, and it's just like that small little intimate kind of low budget story, but really creepy and really well done.
It's like an extended Hitchcock Presents almost.
Yeah,
it's got that kind of vibe to it.
That's like kind of like a perfect 70s TV movie to me. It's that perfect kind of vibe. It has everything you want, you know?
That's genuinely good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Or something like Bad Ronald, which is...
Of course, we love Bad Ronald.
Bad Ronald is the winner.
I think so.
In my humble opinion, I just think that that is maybe the greatest TV movie of all time. Yeah. Just the concept alone... I would tell people the concept of this and they go, oh my God, I have to see this. Yeah. And it's almost as good as what you described, because the idea that you sell a house and there's a guy living in the house, but the fact that they didn't make him too much of like he's just a disturbed kid as opposed to, you know,
it's
like
not overdone.
The opera kind of thing.
Right.
And that gives like an element of pathos. And I just love how they worked out that whole scheme.
Yeah.
Because in the movie, he accidentally commits a murder. Mom hides him into this room that they blocked off to make it look like there's
behind the wall.
There. Right. Behind the wall. She goes to the hospital, dies. He's left there. The house is sold. And now there's a new family living in it. He's behind the walls staring at them all. During this time, he's gone even more crazy. And he's developed this fantasy world where he's a knight. And it's this, you know, medieval fantasy in his head. And now he's casting the people who live in this home in this play in his head. And where it goes is wonderful. And Scott Jacoby as Ronald is brilliant. And Kim Hunter as his mother.
Yeah. I like to think that we all have a bad Ronald living in our walls somewhere. Yes. It's comforting. You know?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because with all the real estate that changes hands, you know, I'm sure that there's stories of this. And
sure, that's happened.
If you guys recall, I think this was on Flipping Vegas. There was an episode where these guys, you know, the Flipping Vegas people actually bought a house sight unseen, and they're actually doing construction in the house. And they find like a pool of blood, and they go, "Where's this?" And it turns out there was an old guy who had been living like in a crawl space under the house. And and it's captured. Well, it's reality TV, so I mean, Sean, I don't know. Maybe go. To make this episode more interesting, let's get some homeless guy out.
We're gonna have to kill a drifter to make this episode work.
Shiv a hobo.
No, but what was creepy is, you know, it's like when they find him there, they flip out and they actually call an ambulance to come in, because the guy had some old wound that was always just bleeding, you know, or something.
Is that why it's called Flipping Vegas?
Wow.
Well, it's not a TV. It's not a TV movie, but David Schmoller also made the movie Crawl Space with Klaus Kinski.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that one.
Right. Has one of my favorite Percy Rodriguez taglines where it goes, "Between the wall and hell, Crawl Space."
Between the wall and hell is Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, that's the one that David Schmoller made that short film, Please Kill Mr. Kinski.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's insane. It chronicles the director. It chronicles his insane experience trying to deal with the completely unhinged Klaus Kinski in his movie.
But even better, so we put the whole thing up on YouTube. They were shooting it. It was an Empire Pictures Charles Band movie, so it was a co-production with Italians. And these Italians basically asked David Schmoller completely seriously to kill Klaus Kinski on set because they'd make more money from the insurance they took out on him. So they came up to him and they're like, "Hey, you know, maybe a light of fall on his head or something."
And there are some crazy stories.
Yeah, Kinski was so miserable that he was like, "I really thought about doing it."
Yeah, wasn't there something where the director, like Klaus, freaked out every time the director said action?
Yes,
and he said, "Don't say action, say Klaus or something instead, or something." And and he did that, then he freaked out again. It's insane. It's worth watching.
I had no idea.
It's interesting though, like talking about like Bad Ronald and stuff like that, like how nowadays modern horror films, a lot of independent horror films, are almost going back to that style of TV movie budget. You know, like a lot of small productions shot in one location or mostly one location with a handful of actors. You know, like that's a good way to make really low budget claustrophobic horror films,
Yeah, like House of the Devil had like a real TV movie.
Yeah, they were definitely going for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of films like that, so it's interesting that, again, it's that claustrophobic, intimate feel that like big budget movies can't get,
Well, speaking of claustrophobic and people trapped in something, there's a movie when I was doing my research called The Longest Night. Sean, do you know this one?
The Longest Night.
1972, and it's about, I guess it's somewhat based on a true story, but a girl is kidnapped and she is kept underground in a homemade coffin.
Oh my God.
So she has to live in this coffin while they're dealing with the ransom and everything else.
Is it a comfy coffin? Is it like a big coffin?
From the description that I got, it said that there's a fan for air and a gallon of water.
Sounds a little familiar. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, David Blaine did that, familiar. Right? Wasn't that a David Blaine special?
He makes it sexy.
That reminded me of one that as a kid really freaked me out and really scared me. Early 70s, I think it was Olivia de Havilland. It was called The Screaming Woman.
Yes.
And The Screaming Woman, I think, was Olivia de Havilland, where she was like this older woman who just kind of came out of having a nervous breakdown. And she's like living in her house and she keeps hearing like a woman crying and moaning and screaming. And she has no idea where it's coming from. People think she's gone crazy again. And it turns out she has some neighbor or some guy who like tried to get rid of his wife. And he thought he killed her and he buried her in a shallow grave behind Olivia de Havilland's house or something. And so she finds out about it, and she has to convince people that's really happening. She's hearing a woman in the ground, and it is super creepy. And again, just like it's one of those, is she going crazy or is she not? And really effective. The other thing about the TV movies that we grew up with, that whole kind of genre and that art form, really for the most part isn't represented in home video media. There's not a ton of TV movies from that era that are really released on DVD or Blu-ray. There's some, but like the more popular ones. Yeah.
YouTube, you can find most of that stuff.
Yeah. But there are just tons, though, and some really good ones and really interesting titles and that have yet to see the light of day that I think a lot of people don't even have any clue to even know about.
I talk about that also on my show a lot, where it's sort of this lost, not even era, it's like a lost genre of movies.
Yeah.
You have big stars in them and there's hundreds of them.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's sort of the perfect thing for a streaming service. I mean, if you had a $2.99 thing, it was like, here's every ABC TV
movie. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine like an ABC movie of the week channel?
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
It's just
fantastic.
They have them digitized in vaults and they'd show up. The problem I've discovered, because this has bothered me, because that's the kind of person I am, is that a lot of them were made by essentially independent producers.
Yeah. I read that like the model for it was when ABC did ABC Movie of the Week, they would siphon out the productions to independent companies to make them for them. Right. Yeah. So you got all kinds of different production companies making them for ABC. Right. And so you're right. That could be a reason why maybe getting the rights to a lot of them is.
And the golden era of them was pre-video. So there was like no video or rerun sort of rights built in.
Right.
Because they'd air it once, they'd sell the distribution to Europe, and then they made their money back, and there was kind of like nothing else in the contract.
Yeah, which makes them even more scarce. I mean, I know like some cable companies in the 90s and early 2000s, there were cable channels. Like there was like the Mystery Channel. Yeah, they would just suddenly just out of the blue, like air in a really obscure TV movie. There was one I saw, I think it was just a couple months ago. I was blown away. I could not believe this was airing. I think it was, for a while we were getting the HG channels like MGM HD and Sony HD. One of those channels ran a beautiful print of this great TV movie from the 70s called Black Noon. And Black Noon is a horror Western with Roy Thinnis as a preacher who comes to this town. The town has Ray Milland, Yvette Mimieux, and Henry Silva as this kind of like Yul Brynner from Westworld. And it's all like involves Satan and satanic forces. And it is really good. and has never been released on DVD or Blu-ray. Luckily, I taped it, and it's a beautiful.
I have to see this.
What's it called again, Sean?
Black Noon.
Early 70s.
I've never heard of this one.
Got to check it out. I was so happy that they aired this, and it's such a kind of classic, low budget, but it involves Satanism, and it has a downbeat ending, and it's like, wow, like it's really cool. So check that one out.
It's got
every once in a while, you have to be looking. Every once in a while, you just have to look hard. Yeah. Some of these channels just randomly play something like that,
Well, Sean, you turned me on to, I think, what is one of my favorite TV movies, aside from Bad Ronald, of course, A Cold Night's Death.
Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
And, Ken, have you seen this one?
No.
Gotcha. Give the description of that one, Matt.
It's in 1973. Robert Culp and Eli Wallach.
Right there is like,
and already it's great.
Yeah,
and they're two research scientists that are going to this ice station, and when they arrive, they find the lone guy running the station frozen to death with all the windows open.
Right.
Am I getting this right?
Yeah, there's been like some kind of weird accident. They've lost contact for months from this place, and the scientists there had been experimenting with chimpanzees and different primates,
as you do,
different kind of behavioral experiments or whatever. But when Culp and Eli Wallach get there, like the scientists are dead, the monkeys are just left in their cages, starving, whatever, and they have to figure out what the hell is going on. And you can't say anything more about it because it'll give stuff away. But you got Culp and Eli Wallach like starting to go stir crazy and stuck out in the Arctic and with these monkeys, and it's like it's so good.
Something is happening. They can't really figure it out, and their minds don't want to go to the craziest possibility.
Right.
So of course they start blaming each other.
Yeah.
For these things that are going wrong, and you get Eli Wallach and Robert Culp just doing their thing, and it's so good.
It's really great.
It's also like I was probably 7 or 8 when that movie was shown, and my mom watched them all the time. I wasn't that invested in them, but I remember the last scene, like it was frozen, so to speak, in my brain all my life. It wasn't until Google that I could sort of type in what I remember and then finally find out what that movie was.
Right.
But that stuff stays with you. I mean, some of that, I remember my mom was watching The Devil's Daughter with Joseph Cotton.
Oh yeah.
Very, very Rosemary's Baby like movie, and that ending, I was just like, I had to stick my head under a pillow and try not to listen to it because I was freaked out.
A sign of the time. She was like in the 70s. Even in the TV movies, you had spillover of like the downbeat grim ending, which is cool. Yeah. Like you don't really think that this is television. This is little impressionable kids watching this. Like, evil wins out again. All right.
Yeah. As a kid, you're not ready for that.
Yeah. And like Satan and Satanism was extremely popular in these movies. I mean, you had another great one is Crowhaven Farm, which was
that's a good one too.
With Hope Lang. It's kind of like a Rosemary's Baby thing, and with Hope Lang kind of moving to this small town and where shit's going on. That's a great one. You had, of course, Satan's School for Girls, The Possessed, which is kind of like
with the Hasselhoff.
Not Hasselhoff.
James Ferrantino.
James Ferrantino and Harrison Ford. That's like a school for girls. There's like possession all over the place.
What's the Hasselhoff one I'm thinking?
A Hasselhoff TV movie?
Yeah.
Like from the 70s or 80s?
It's like 1980 probably or 79.
I don't know.
I thought it was The Possessed, but maybe I'm wrong. Isn't the Wes Craven movie Deadly Blessing? Wasn't that that was a made-for-TV movie?
No, that was theatrical. But he did. I can't remember if he was involved in there was one called Invitation to Hell.
Oh, he did do that. That's amazing. That was on my list.
Susan Lucci is like
he directed that. Yeah,
I love that.
Robert Urich.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, it's like a Hellfire Club, and
yeah.
I have to ruin the ending for everybody on this.
You must.
So Robert Urich's wife joins this sort of hell club in like a fancy
it's like this
country club. Yeah.
And for like rich.
In the country community.
Yeah, literally has a gateway to hell in it. But he's a scientist that invents a fireproof suit that he actually wears to go into hell.
Wow. That's great.
That's genius.
Yeah.
And that was Suzanne Lucci at the height of her popularity, as the soap opera queen or whatever. And she's great. She's like the evil one in charge of all this going on. It's really fun.
I think it's fun and pretty clever.
Yeah, it is. It's actually good. Yeah.
He also did Summer of Fear, I think, with Linda Blair. That was a made-for-TV movie.
Oh, yeah.
Linda Blair was in a couple. Yeah, like that. Yeah. No, there's
Linda Blair is almost another. That's like a subcategory.
Yeah,
right.
But that's what's cool too. Is like you had when Born Innocent, which was Linda Blair like in juvenile detention or whatever, and then Sweet Hostage, she's captured, and she becomes the lover of the guy
Martin
Sarah. Yeah, Martin Sheen. Right. Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic.
Yep.
Those are like real life melodramas.
But Born Innocent, when I saw
pretty strong, yeah,
that was really daring for the time. And I from what I've read, they got in a lot of trouble with that movie. Because of some of the stuff they showed. And what I remember really vividly is the rape scene, which they later had to cut out on subsequent screenings. That got them in all kinds of trouble. You know, a rape scene with a plunger, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
There's also, is it the 1979 Dan Curtis Dracula with Jack Palance? That was made for TV.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There's a scene in that they originally aired with a baby sacrifice.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
They had to cut out, and it wasn't on, I think it was only this year that they found this footage. It only aired the first time they aired it, and it's really violent.
Are you sure, Ken? I could have sworn I saw that baby sacrifice, but maybe I'm
well, it was in the first time it aired.
Isn't it? Okay, that's what I saw, and I remember watching it with my parents, and it was really it was a very uncomfortable moment.
I'm sure.
Getting back to the Linda Blair stuff, we weren't allowed to watch that Linda Blair movie. That's
really.
Well, like, hey, your parents are all, hey, you want to watch the rape scene? Fine, but my parents were
That's not exactly what happened in my
I'm just
hey, kids, gather around.
It's Rape Tuesday.
Number one, it's a controversial topic. Number two, it had that girl, Linda Blair, who was in The Exorcist. That I couldn't see that movie for the longest time. So
right.
I went to private school, so
There's some weird late 80s made for TV movies too that USA Network did that are actually pretty good. And they kind of would fit in before everything became an erotic thriller or a rip from the headlines, I killed my husband who was abusive movie.
I'm having an affair with 5 men. Yeah.
Right. There's one that Anthony Perkins, I believe, directed, and it's called I'm Dangerous Tonight. And it stars him and Mention Amick from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it's basically about this cursed dress that makes women murder people. I
saw that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. And that's like 89 or 90, I think. It was a USA for TV movie.
Yeah, it's interesting how by the time you got into the 80s, it seemed like every week was either a TV movie starring Victoria Principal or Valerie Bertinelli. And they were all involved, they kind of like the glamorous kind of melodramas. Like they were always having an affair. I was looking at the they had titles like Mistress, Naked Lie, Blind Witness, Shattered Vows. That kind of took over
that Jackie Collins kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
That became the thing. So the TV movies of Cold Night's Death, forget. That was over. It was it became that kind of thing.
Do you remember the tagline for Lace?
No.
One of you bitches is my mother, isn't it?
Which one of you bitches is my mother?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I thought you were kidding. That's great.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But
I mean, did we mention Don't Go to Sleep? I love that one.
That is a Valerie Harper, right?
Yep.
That is a gruesome, grim,
what is that?
Yeah, tell us about that one, Ken, because
that's an evil kid subgenre one. This family comes into a house and Valerie Harper can't tell if her daughter's basically the devil. Or if she's losing her mind and people get killed, but it could be accidents.
But it goes there. It goes to places you don't expect a TV movie to go.
Yeah.
It's a little bit similar to a theatrical film called The Godsend.
Yes.
It's a little bit similar to that. But Don't Go to Sleep is quite good. And again, another one that's not officially released.
No, and that ending is, again, that's just a haunting ending.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
I also really love, it doesn't quite fall into the genre, but it's a Disney, Wonderful World of Disney movie. Mm-hmm. And it's The Scarecrow of Romney Marsh.
Oh, of course.
Oh, sure.
That's a great one. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Patrick McGoon. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that.
Well, and then we have to bring up Dark Night of the Scarecrow.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
My wife and I just watched that recently.
Starring Dr. Giggles.
That's right.
Who was my old acting teacher, Larry Drake.
Was he really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's
Did
a
you
really
bring up
good
Dark
one.
Knight of the Scarecrow when you were in his class?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Larry Drake was really cool because I would bring in horror movie stuff, Darkman stuff, and Dr. Giggles, and I'd talk to him about Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. And the other teacher, Stephen Book, who was the main acting teacher, he didn't like any of that stuff. And so he couldn't figure out why I was so enamored with Larry Drake. And it's like, if I have to explain it to you, then you're never going to go there. But Dark Knight of the Scarecrow is a genuinely great movie. Like, it's one of those movies that if I saw that in a theater, I would have thought it was great.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so sad. Like, I can't, it bums me out so much.
It
like,
is. Yeah. It's tough. And Charles Durning is so awful in that. I mean, he's an awful character. He's like so bad in that character. Yeah. No, it's really good. That's a good one.
It's not really a horror movie, but have you ever seen Goliath Awaits with Christopher Lee?
That sounds. Is that a TV movie?
It's a TV movie, and it's about like a nuclear submarine. It's sort of a disaster movie. But
yeah, it was in a miniseries, maybe. Like
I thought it was just one movie. But
okay,
I might be wrong. But he would pop up in every so often in a TV movie randomly, and it was really really interesting to see.
There's some great sci-fi ones too. I mean, the UFO incident was very popular and had a real impact. That's a great movie. Yeah, Benny and Barney Hill, their whole story about being abducted, but it's so well acted
with James Earl Jones.
And
some relatively primitive costumes and special effects that
but
works really very well.
Estelle Parsons, is that who it was?
That's correct.
But that's a great one. But there's some obscure ones too, like Night Slaves. You know that one, right, Matt?
James Franciscus.
Yeah, James Franciscus and Lee Grant. They're in like the small town. James Franciscus just had like some kind of head injury, so he has like a metal plate in his head. And so they're in this small town, and like all the townspeople seem to be controlled or possessed by something, but he's not because of the metal plate. And so he's figured out what's going on, and involves kind of something sci-fi. Really, really good mystery and creepy.
Does anybody remember seeing The Lathe of Heaven with Bruce Davison?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
so it was a PBS.
That was a PBS TV.
Tell me about that one, James. I don't know that one.
It was based on an Ursula K. Le Guin novel, and she actually had a hand in the production. But this was produced by PBS in 1980 by a couple of guys who they hadn't really done much except experimental video, but they did a great job. It's very engaging. Bruce Davison plays a guy who it's sort of a dystopian future, and his dreams come true. The things that he dreams actually happen.
Right.
They might have happened concurrently, or they might have, it changes the world. It changes everything.
Like possible futures.
Right.
And there's an evil psychologist who is using him to his own ends to kind of manipulate how he wants the world to be.
Yeah, Kevin Conway, and it's sort of Philip K. Dick influenced, and Ursula Guin was actually a champion of Philip Dick's work. If you haven't seen it, it's really good. The whole thing's on YouTube, so it's worth checking out. Really nice kind of surreal effects too, especially toward the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
And very faithful to the novel.
Yeah, PBS also did a. It's not Witchfinder General, but it's sort of a weird. It's not an official adaptation of The Crucible, but it's sort of like The Crucible meets Witchfinder General, starring Patrick McGoohan.
Really?
And it's called. It has a really innocuous title. It's called like The Salem Trial, or it's from like 85 or 84, and it's really good. And McGoohan is terrifying. He's basically the main prosecutor, and that was
I gotta check that out.
Well. There's also a bunch of remakes. They did a remake of The Bad Seed for TV. With Patty McCormick played the mom.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
And they did a really good remake of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in 1989 or 90, made for TV. And it starred John Glover is in it, and it's really good.
Huh? I've never seen that.
When we were talking about the sci-fi stuff, do you remember the William Shatner film The People?
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
No, The People?
I haven't seen it.
Kim Darby is this teacher who's come to teach in this weird small town, and everyone in the town is very secretive, and all the kids drag their feet when they walk. And at one point, she's spying on some of the kids, and the kids don't think that they're being spied upon, but when they think there's no one around, they float around. And you find out that this is a colony of aliens. They've been on Earth for quite a while, and they've been trying to keep their identity hidden. And when it came to stories of witches throughout history, that was actually them.
All right.
Yeah. And it's really good, and it's understated. It's a thoughtful piece.
Right.
And,
yeah.
That's a really good one.
It reminds me of Strange Invaders. It's like a less flashy Strange Invaders.
Yeah. That's true.
How's Shatner in it though? Is he good?
Yeah,
he's surprisingly
good.
Understated.
Yeah, he is. You're right. I know, Matt, we've talked about this one before. It's Where Have All the People Gone?
Yeah.
I love that.
Which is a good one. That's a pretty grim one, too. That's like Peter Graves and his family go camping in the mountains, and they somehow avoid this this bizarre disaster where everybody just dissolves into powder. And they go back into town, and it's like they're trying to find anybody. They're trying to find, I think, his wife and their mom, but it's good. It's creepy, and just seeing the clothes strewn on the ground with just powder instead of bodies in the clothes, and as a kid, again, that's freaks you out.
What did the powder look like? What was it like?
It was like a white grayish. Yeah, like cocaine. People turn into cocaine.
It was the 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the whole subgenre of made-for-TV nuclear disaster movies. So you have Threads, which is one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Threads is probably the most terrifying of them.
I think so.
Yeah. The Day After, obviously, that was enormous.
That was a big event. Yeah.
There's one that PBS made called Testament.
Yes.
Was that theatrical though, or is that
they released it theatrically later to try to get an award?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I saw it.
Yeah, that one's
Lucas Haas. That one is just so grim. It's basically just a mother and her kids dying of radiation poisoning for an hour. And
that's
a half,
the best one, I think. Then,
if we're
including that is just heart wrenching.
There's a good one from 1990 with Jonathan Silverman, and I think it's called 1201. And it's basically like an action movie version of Groundhog Day. And he just keeps the same minute. He keeps reliving it. And I think it's 91 or 90. But it's a cool, weird sci-fi premise. And I remember really liking it and thinking it was bizarre. Nobody watched it. And everyone I brought it up to was like, you're out of your mind. That's not a real thing.
That's what I love about this is that, just doing a little bit of research today, I discovered 10 more that I've never seen.
Totally. Yeah. There is one that's really obscure. I got a copy of it from somewhere. I don't know. It's called The Missing Are Deadly. It's with Leonard Nimoy, and it's he's a scientist, and there's a mentally handicapped kid, like a teenager or preteen, who is in his father's lab, and the kid takes a lab rat just because he likes the rat. He wants to have it as a pet. He takes it with him and leaves the facility, but the lab rat has a deadly virus.
Oh.
And so everybody is getting this virus who the kid has been in contact with. And Leonard Nimoy is a scientist. So it's the search for this kid to find the rat. It's really good. It's a really suspenseful thing. It's it's never been released.
The rat version of Plague Dogs, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, that cartoon killed me.
I know.
Yeah. But that's a good one.
I thought you were going to say the rat had superpowers, and it was going to turn into a super rat, and he made a little cape for the rat, and he and the rat.
That's your version of the story.
Turns out the rat was the Antichrist.
Yes, right.
This thing had
father was a Satanist scientist, and
a Satanist and a teenage alcoholic. It's got everything.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows what one caused the other? But it's a chicken and egg kind of scenario.
Right.
Who lives in the wall?
It's true. Now, there's a movie that was made to be released theatrically, but was released as a made-for-TV movie called Watcher in the House with Gary Busey. It's basically Bad Ronald, except Gary Busey is Bad Ronald.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was one else. Yeah, there was one
terrifying.
in the 70s called Are You Alone in the House? I think that was a 70s one. Yeah, but all those,
I saw what you did, the William Castle movie. Was that made for TV?
That was released theatrically, I think.
Yeah, I love that movie though.
That's a good one. There's one that basically it's kind of like a slasher film, an Aaron Spelling TV movie called Home for the Holidays. Yeah. And it's Sally Field, and it's like I think it's like a family gathering. The dad's gonna die or something, and all the bitchy sisters and relatives get together and they start getting killed off one by one. It's basically a slasher movie, but done on like TV movie budget, you know.
It's the first slasher movie having to do with a holiday background. It really doesn't have anything to do with Christmas except there's a Christmas tree in the
That's right. Yeah.
But it predates Black Christmas by 2 years.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah. And it was the screenplay was written by Joseph Stefano, who did Psycho.
Yeah, that's a good one. We're checking out.
And it was directed by John Llewellyn Moxey, who did The Night Stalker.
Oh, he did so many great ones. Yeah. No, he was kind of like the TV movie director king, you know.
Yeah.
Ever since A Face in the Crowd, I have loved me some evil Andy Griffith.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if you guys have seen Prey for the Wildcats.
Classic.
Andy Griffith is this psychotic businessman who gets a bunch of ad agency guys to go on this motocross trip into Mexico. And at one point, he harasses a young couple that they meet, and that leads to the guy's death. The ad company guys want to turn him in, and they take off, which leads Andy Griffith to hunt them down on his motorcycle. It's William Shatner, once again.
Right.
Robert Reed.
Yeah, good cast.
Yeah,
Marjo Gortner,
yeah. And that one's fun, and it's just Andy Griffith just chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
Being about as evil as he can be.
Okay, Matt, I have a question for you because, you know, an evil Andy Griffith is always hard for me to take, okay? And he also did another made-for-TV film where, and I forget the title, maybe you guys would know, where he's actually sent to the electric chair.
Oh.
He's like this criminal.
What's that one? I don't know that one.
That's funny because I thought you were going to say there's another one that's the perfect double feature with Prey for the Wildcats called Savages, 1974. Yes. And Andy Griffith, Andy Griffith takes, I think it's Sam Bottoms, into the desert to search for something, and Andy Griffith accidentally shoots like some guy, like a prospector. And Andy Griffith is kind of like a prominent guy in the town, so he realizes, I got to get rid of the one witness who saw this. So he tries to kill this guy and thinks he's left him for dead.
It's almost the same story.
Yeah, it's really, and yeah, Andrew Griffith is great. He really does.
It's so funny,
bad guy really well.
But it's so funny because for years doing the Andy Griffith show, you know, America loved him. This was the dad that people want to have to take you out.
He probably loved though to spread his wings like that and play.
See, I was a big Jim Thompson fan, and for some reason, when I read The Killer Inside Me, I just pictured Andy Griffith.
Oh, that's good. That's good casting.
Because he basically was like, he'd always play dumber than he was, and
right.
So that he would manipulate people, and that was kind of the whole show. It's not that different from The Killer Inside Me.
You know, there was a show called American Gothic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And which I really enjoyed. Gary Cole. It kind of introduced me to Gary Cole.
You weren't a Midnight Caller fan?
You know what? I was not that familiar with it. I went back and saw it.
Greg Proops is in an episode of Midnight Caller.
Is that right? Really?
No. The cab driver. He plays a cab driver because they shot it in San Francisco. He plays a cab driver, and for some reason he's doing like a Brooklyn accent. Like, where you going, Mac?
What can't he do?
It's true. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, but that show, the premise of it was really like an evil Andy Griffith character.
Yes.
Imagine if Andy Griffith was the devil.
Yeah.
And the show was created by Sean Cassidy.
Yeah.
It's like Needful Things mixed with Andy Griffith.
Yeah. But Gary Cole, what a genius.
Oh yeah. I had Paul Michael Glazer on my show, and
oh wow.
Wow.
From Boston. He directed a made-for-TV movie called Amazons. Did you ever see that?
No.
The premise is, it's so 70s, that this race of Amazon women who are actually not human, but they can appear human, have infiltrated society, and they've had this years-long plan to eliminate like all men and humans, and basically it's like go time. In this
is Donald Pleasance in that?
I believe he is, yeah.
I think I have seen that, yeah. Amazons and TV movies. Doesn't get better than that.
No, not at all.
Well, in the 70s, you started seeing more jiggle content in some of these movies.
Sure.
There was one called Cruise into Terror that I think was another Spelling Goldberg thing. There's just a couple of girls in there in bikinis, just sort of thrown in among Ray Milland and
Dirk Benedict, I think.
Dirk Benedict,
yeah. And that one's it's like an Egyptian sarcophagus that somehow has Satan in it or something. That's like horror at 30,000 feet. 37,000 feet, which is Satan on a plane with William Shatner and craziness.
But so you got the girls for the guys, and then you got Ray Milland for the ladies.
And let's and let us not forget, Ray Milland was an Academy Award winner, folks.
Oh, he's terrific. He's
of course for X the Man with X-Ray Eyes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, one of my all-time favorite films.
Yeah, Ray Milland was in one of the very first early TV horror films, which was, I think, maybe 69, 68, was called Daughter of the Mind. And it was like a grieving father whose daughter had supposedly been killed, but he's supposedly seeing her ghost come back, trying to contact her. And you don't know if it's real or not, but that's a good one. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the infamous Lon Chaney Jr. Frankenstein for TV?
Yeah.
Clips.
Yeah. The one where it's like he thought it was
a rehearsal?
It was a live production, and when they did it live and they shot it and was airing live, he thought it was still the production.
No, guys.
So
he thought it was still the rehearsal.
He's supposed to like smash through a door, but because he thinks it's a rehearsal, he's like, and then like gently opens the door and goes in and
he like picks up a table, then like gently puts it back down.
Yeah.
No.
It gives this whole new element. Like Frankenstein has like rage issues, but he regrets it.
Okay. So look. Okay, so call me an idiot, but okay, so I'm one of the few people who has not seen this. So
you can see it pretty easily on YouTube.
So what is it? It's Lon Chaney Jr. as Frankenstein.
It was Lon Chaney Jr. as Frankenstein's monster. It was a play for today, or like a play. It's a TV movie basically, but it was a live production of Frankenstein.
Like science fiction theater kind of a thing, or
something like that.
Yeah.
Tales of Tomorrow.
Yeah, 1959 or 60, I think.
Tales of Frankenstein, maybe it was called.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's maybe.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'd love to see this.
Yeah, you can find it.
Wait. What's the date? Is this like 70? What is
late
it like
50s, early 60s?
Yeah. Oh, it's look up like Lon Chaney live television Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's like the heyday of live TV.
Yeah.
Then they're not really movies, but in the 80s, obviously there was a ton of syndicated horror anthology shows, but there was a weird time where they also had these syndicated horror shows like Dracula the series. Did you ever see that?
Was that like in the 90s?
Yeah, it was about these kids that discovered Dracula's actually like a huge prominent businessman.
That was a silly show.
And then She-Wolf of London, that was another really weird one.
Which later became Love and Curses. They changed the title.
Yeah. Just bizarre things that would have just been TV movies.
Right.
Became these syndicated series.
Well, the Frankenstein that we just discussed, that was an episode of Tales of Tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for straightening us out, Matt.
No problem. I know a guy.
Okay.
There's also, and this again, not a TV movie per se, but Shelley Duvall did a thing called Fairy Tale Theater for Showtime in the late 70s, early 80s. There's some great episodes, but there's one that is an adaptation of The Boy Who Set Out to Discover the Shivers, which stars Peter McNichol, and he just can't be afraid, and he tries to get scared, and Christopher Lee is in it, and it's amazing. And it was later remade also on Jim Henson's The Storyteller, which was also a really good version of it. And there's also a episode of The Storyteller that's an old Russian folktale about this guy that captures devils. And it's really good. If you haven't seen The Storyteller, I think there's only 6 episodes, but it's John Hurt as this old man.
Yeah, I remember that being on, and like I never think I ever watched it.
It's great. It's great.
I'm there.
They're like short films, but the Devils one and the Shivers are really good.
Cool. Awesome. Cool.
Now, are you familiar with, and this is pre Blair Witch and the whole reality found footage craze, but there was a show that's a British mockumentary called Ghostwatch, yes.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I've heard of it though.
And that is a lot of fun.
Tell us of Ghostwatch.
Well, it's really there's a family that's being haunted.
And they watch ghosts.
No, it's presented as like a sightings type TV show.
Yes.
It's doing a live episode for Halloween with this family that has a ghost in their house.
Yeah. And Craig Charles from Red Dwarf is in it playing himself.
Really?
Yes. He's one of the correspondents that's at the house, and he's like the
wow.
And Michael Parkinson is playing himself. It's genuinely creepy, and it does a nice slow burn as weird things keep happening, but then there's some false starts where you're like, oh, well, that wasn't really the ghost. That was just somebody playing a gag. But then it gets a little more real with each beat of the story. And I don't want to give away the end, but that's fun, right? I mean,
yeah, it's great. There reminds me of two things. There's a made-for-TV movie called Special Bulletin.
Right. Oh, yes.
Marshall Hertzkovitz and the other guy who did 30-something with him. And it's basically a live news broadcast that turns into a global thermonuclear war.
Right.
What's this again?
It's called Special Bulletin. It's from 83, I want to say.
Special Bulletin.
Yeah, it was made for TV movie.
And it's done as if it's a real news bulletin, and it's a TV movie, but it's done as if you're watching a news broadcast.
Like an Orson Welles' War of the Worlds kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's really good and terrifying. And I'm also reminded of Nigel Neal did a series of short films in the UK called Beasts. Have you ever seen it?
I've heard of that. I've heard of
wow.
I've heard of the Stone Tapes.
The Stone Tapes is great.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
I've never seen that either.
That's
I just discovered that today.
Yeah, like this old abbey or old building that's being refurbished, and like there's like this television crew in there, and there's weird stuff going on, hauntings. It's really good.
It's like the Haunting of Hill House kind of, or the
a little bit.
But Beasts is, I think there's 4 short films, and the first one is really slow, but the final shot and the final scene, I never get nightmares. I literally still have nightmares from it.
Huh.
It is horrifying.
So it's like a series of films?
Yeah, they're like anywhere from like an hour to a little bit over. You know how British TV sometimes is weird times.
Yeah.
4 of them. It came out as Nigel Neal's Beasts later.
Wow, I gotta check that out.
I think there's 4, but the first one, and I cannot remember the name of it. One's called Buddy Boy. It's not that one. It's terrifying.
Oh, okay, I'm a big Nigel Neal fan.
Oh, you'll love this. This hits all the classic sort of Nigel Neal things.
Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out.
Or even the first Quatermass. The first one was made for TV.
The original, right?
Actually, all 3 of what were later made into movies were originally TV presentations.
Right. Were they radio broadcasts first, and then
I believe
live TV?
So yeah.
Okay.
They normally do that. So,
yeah. I've never seen the live TV version.
I've seen the Quatermass in the Pit one.
Okay.
Which is really good. I mean, it lacks the flash of the Hammer film.
Right.
It's a little more story heavy and character heavy.
Right.
They did maybe 5 years ago. They did a live Quatermass again in England on TV, a live TV movie of Quatermass. It's really good.
Was it the Quatermass Experiment?
Maybe.
There was one that we just were about to watch. We started watching a little bit. I think it was done live. It was pretty impressive for live because they were still cutting to different exteriors and interiors.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't get through it though. We still have to watch it. But I think at least the one I'm thinking of, this is a later one though. It had like David Tennant in it, like a supporting role. Yeah, it was like before he did.
That was okay.
Yeah. But Nigel Neal's fantastic.
We talked about this before, but it's a favorite of all of ours, and that's the Gene Roddenberry Pax trilogy.
Yes, I was just going to bring it up. Yeah,
Genesis 2.
Yeah,
Genesis 2, Planet Earth, and Strange New World.
And I like all of them. I really do.
Is it Alex Cord?
Alex Cord is in the first one.
The first one, and then John Saxon, who just passed away, he's in the second two.
The third one is not even really a sequel. It's more of a kind of a remake.
Yeah.
Because they change his name.
Yeah.
And then they change the reason why, the mechanism of why he's there.
Right.
In the third one. But they're all pretty fun.
They're pretty fun. They're kind of Star Trek-ish in the plot and stuff. But you had like Ted Cassidy and Janet Margolin is in it, and they were all done as kept trying. They were trying to do a new series after Star Trek, but it never took off. But I think the best, Spectre I love, and I also really like the Questor tapes.
Oh, the Questor tapes.
With Robert Foxworth, he's like this android who's kind of trying to basically discover his origin of like why he was made, who made him, was it aliens, was it, and that's good. That could have been a cool, interesting series, I think.
I wish that would have been made into a series.
I saw that as a kid and I was totally into it. And I'm
good.
It would have been really neat if they made that into a series.
Maybe somebody should make it now.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't turn out as good, but why not?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. One of the scenes that was so spooky and scary to me is when the android completes itself.
Yeah, because he's like kind of featureless at first.
Yeah, doesn't he? He puts his
hair on.
And it's like, that was so cool. It was so creepy too. That was neat, man. I like that scene.
And that's a really good example of doing a lot with very little.
Yeah,
Even the kind of low grade makeup really worked.
Yeah,
and sold the concept.
Yeah.
Well, let me go out on a limb here, okay? Just to break it up a little bit. When we were talking about this topic, for some reason I forgot about the word movie, and I thought of TV flashbacks. And so so there's this great moment, as we all remember, back in May of 1977. There's a great big feature film that came out that took the world by storm called Star Wars.
I've heard of it.
Just called Star Wars. The film at the time was very successful. Now, anyone who's making a TV series that's going to come in the fall, I mean, it's not shot in the fall. It's actually shot, in the summer. And it just so happens that there was a variety show that was happening at this time, and they got all caught up in the whole Star Wars thing. And I'm talking about the variety show Donnie and Marie. Ken, do you remember the Donnie and Marie variety show?
I do.
Okay. Well, they did a whole sequence. They did a whole sequence on Star Wars. And the funny thing is, when you see it, it's like, oh my God, they literally had to have done it in like June or July, like a month.
They wrote that in 10 minutes.
But but the funny thing is, I watched it because I remember seeing it, and like the beginning of Dawn Marie, they did something a little different. She had her hair cut, and they do the space music and space, they have these images of it. But when they start, Donnie comes out dressed as Luke Skywalker. And Marie, who's not quite 18 yet, is dressed as Princess Leia. And the funny thing is, it's a brother and sister. Who would have known?
That's true.
But the funny thing is, and they do their little scene, and Marie looks just stunning.
She did make for a cute Leia, I have to admit.
She was absolutely beautiful, and they do their little scene, and R2-D2 comes out, C-3PO comes out, and as a kid who wants nothing but Star Wars, my God, you're just sucking this all up.
but then the casting goes really off the rails.
They have Jimmy show up.
No, you get Paul Lynn.
Paul Lynn is Grand Moff Tarkin. Red Fox as Obi-Wan.
No, he's Okie Finoki. Let's get this right.
And Chris Christopherson as Han Solo.
Han Solo, who's
I'd watch that movie.
And no. Here's the
was Jay one of the Sand People?
Look. All I want to say is, if you like to remember, go back to those days of yesteryear and watch variety shows. It's a neat little 20 minutes. If it's just about 20 minutes, it's Donnie and Marie doing the whole Star Wars thing. But what's really hilarious, at least to me, is Chewbacca comes out, and then you have the Ice Angels, ice skating around in stormtrooper outfits, and then the stormtroopers come out, and it's the Osmonds, and they do this little disco dance, as in their stormtrooper outfits. But the voice of Darth Vader is actually Thurl Ravenscroft, the guy who does the voice of Tony the Tiger.
Oh, and the Grinch song too, right?
Yes.
And Grinning Ghosts.
That's right. And so it's hilarious when he starts talking, and he actually narrates the crawl that goes on.
That's right.
Wait a minute. That's Tony the Tiger. but it is a lot of fun, and you get a good kick out of it. And so,
you know what? I'm just going to say it. I am still sweet on Marie Osmond.
Oh my gosh!
I watch those Nutrisystem commercials.
I know. She's still gorgeous.
I just want to cut them together into a loop.
Yeah, I know. She is still pretty gorgeous.
We've talked about how beautiful Carrie Fisher was as Princess Leia, but you threw Marie Osmond in that outfit. I mean, she looks great.
Why couldn't she pose in the slave girl outfit?
Well, because this was for Star Wars.
She could do it now.
and I did a little research. What I thought was fascinating was when they put this together, Star Wars had only been out for about a month. They're like, but when this aired, it was in September, and 20th Century Fox was all over it, because what it did is the week before, because Star Wars was just doing great business. They wanted to keep it going. They released the film on television, The Making of Star Wars. Do you remember this? A week later, the Donnie Marie thing came out. And so it just kept it going. And it made Donnie Marie look really hip and cool because, hey, they were doing Star Wars.
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that sketch is better than the actual Star Wars holiday special?
True. True.
And you know what else is
project?
Wondering how, Donnie Marie was on the ABC network and they were promoting Star Wars, the 20th Century Fox movie. Now Disney owns 20th Century Fox, ABC, and Lucasfilm.
That's true. That's crazy. God.
Did Sid and Marty Krofft produce the Donnie and Marie show?
Wow.
I think they may have been involved in some of their production, maybe some of the puppets, or I'm not sure. That may be true.
Like they produced it because they produced a bunch of weird variety shows, like the
Hudson Brothers.
Yeah.
The Bay City Rollers show.
Right.
I love the Hudson Brothers.
Yeah, me too.
That was quality.
Yeah, that was fun.
And they also had a Marie Osmond obsession too.
That's true.
Everybody did.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on. I mean, didn't everyone have a Donnie Marie lunchbox?
No.
Am I the only one?
I had a Puff and Stuff lunchbox.
Did you?
Yep.
Oh.
You still have it?
No.
Oh.
The thing that really pisses me off is the one lunchbox that I really, really wanted. It was like when you got to 8th grade, you were too old to have a metal lunchbox. Now you brought it in a paper bag, because only kids. And so it's like the one year when I really wanted a lunchbox, that's the one when it came out, the Universal Famous Monsters.
Right.
And I missed getting that damn lunchbox. And so I had to bring my lunch with a stupid paper bag.
But wait a minute. You said you had a Donnie and Marie one.
Well, but it was.
When did that come?
The year before.
College.
I remember in elementary school, there was a kid who his lunchbox was, remember the show Julia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First show starring a black woman.
That's correct. Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
And this is I'm not, besmirching Julia, but for a kid, yay, Julia.
Wow. That's
my parents used to buy me a lot of stuff at flea markets and like the previous year's old stock.
Right.
So I think I was 5 or 6. So we're talking like mid 80s. I had a disco lunchbox, and it was a metal disco lunchbox.
Wow.
That would probably not have been cool at the height of disco.
Right.
You say disco, but what did it look like?
It literally said the word disco on it. It had like people all dancing, and it was just like generic disco.
Wow.
And
that's amazing. Probably now that goes for like hundreds of dollars.
I've seen them now. It's funny because I got kids used to pick on me at school, and I was like, they would hit me with it. So it was just
they hit you with it with like a Ramones lunchbox.
Yeah. Like it sucks.
Yeah, they had the generic death metal.
Yeah, it's the only time I've seen one that's just like a genre of music. There's
right.
That's great.
Bluegrass.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but lunchbox is a very touchy subject because when we would always go to Gemco, it's always like after all the cool ones were
right.
And so you got stuck with whatever was left.
Donnie and Marie.
Right. Yeah.
Or remember the Pele or the NFL or
Pele. Wow.
Yeah. Do you remember? I had a Pele lunchbox.
Or like the Banachek lunchbox. Who had that?
Although that'd be cool.
I mean,
that would be cool now.
The thermos always has vodka in it. My favorite thing now, looking back, because when I look back at TV shows, slightly off topic, but like I'm a little bit obsessed with the fall preview editions of TV Guide because it's sort of this alternate universe because they treat all the shows equally. So there's shows that you've never heard of that were 3 episodes, and they're like, "This is going to be the biggest show ever."
Right.
That reminds me of Lunchboxes because because there were new shows, like especially Saturday morning cartoons coming on, and you're buying these things in September, they placed some pretty risky bets on what shows
right.
to make lunchboxes of. So like I have one up there for the show Wildfire. That was like this weird show where John Vernon played a magical horse that fought demons. And it was a cartoon where like this girl is basically like a slave in this farm ranch, but in an alternate dimension, she's actually this like missing princess heir to the throne.
This is a cartoon?
Yeah. Andrea Romano, who did all the DC Universe stuff, was her first one of her first gigs.
Oh my God.
But I have a lunchbox of that because I remember really liking that show.
Oh, wow.
Like there was one that was from the 70s. It was called Meatballs and Spaghetti. And
that sounds familiar.
It was a cartoon trying to rip off Meatloaf. The singer, not the food. So it was about like a big fat singer, and he was like solving mysteries.
Oh my gosh!
There's one I have of there was Wolfman Jack had his own Saturday morning cartoon called I think
I remember this.
Wolf Rock Radio, I think, but he was an actual wolf.
Why
not? Those lunchboxes, there's some weirdness.
I got you. Yeah, I love all that stuff. I mean, Saturday morning. Speaking of that, like part of that weren't TV movies exactly, but you would have the Saturday morning preview specials.
Yep.
They were like maybe an hour, maybe 90 minutes.
Friday night.
Friday night, they would be on whatever network, like ABC would be touting their new Saturday morning cartoon lineup. For Saturday, and they would have like hosts, like I think Lee Majors was on one, and like they had different like celebrities and talking about and showing clips of the new cartoons, and that was
I would get so excited about that.
Oh my God! And they would have big ads in the TV guides for them, and you would have to choose sometimes because sometimes like NBC would have their special on at the same time as ABC. It was like, oh my God, what do I do?
Well, then the shows too. When the actual shows were playing, you had to go back and forth. You know,
right?
Do I watch Goober and the Ghost Chasers?
Or Monster Squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Gilligan's Planet.
Gilligan's Planet. Yes. Or that's what all the Gary Marshall shows had their own cartoon for some reason at some point.
Yeah. Well, you had the Oddball Couple.
Yeah.
The cat and the dog.
Oh, cartoon. Wait. And James, don't you know that theme song?
The Oddball Couple?
We both know it.
It's the Oddball Couple. There are a couple of oddballs. 8 balls. Man, some things you just cannot expel from your mind.
Yeah.
Keep going. We'll pay for this. Go ahead. Keep singing. That's just so memorable, because another art form that's kind of gone is the Saturday morning cartoon, I mean, there's no thing like that anymore. I also like, too, when they would take a franchise and then they go, well, what are we going to do? We're either going to put them in space or in the future, or we're going to make them robots.
Right.
Like, remember, like, the robotic Stooges?
Oh, my God, yes. And the Josie and the Pussycats in outer space.
Yeah. Sure.
Of course.
Well, I was always confused about those. And one of the ones that did a Punky Brewster cartoon in the mid-'80s called It's Punky Brewster. And the plot was she finds this magical creature from a land called Shindoon. And he's basically a leprechaun, but he looks like a gremlin. And grants wishes. Other than that, it was exactly the same as the Punky Brewster TV show.
Wow.
And so what I discovered was, as I've interviewed people who were working for like Filmation and these different companies, they would have 3 shows they were trying to sell. And as they went to the different networks, sometimes they became one show.
Wow.
They really would just be like, no, and
what was it? Wasn't there one with Fonzie Travels in Time or something?
Yeah.
Fonzie has a time machine. I think it was Henry Winkler.
And he has a talking dog.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I think it was Henry Winkler doing the voice, right?
It was.
Yeah,
it was all
like,
the people,
traveled in time and went everywhere. It was like, that's what he did.
It's basically Doctor Who.
It was Fonzie.
It was more like Voyagers, but with Fonzie.
Yeah.
Well, hey, with a couple of tweaks, you could have turned A Boy and His Dog into a Filmation animated show.
That's true.
I don't know. That's a little racy there, Matt.
There was a lot of cartoons based on R-rated movies. A lot of children's cartoons.
Rambo,
RoboCop. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Chuck Norris cartoon, I think.
There was Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. There was the Toxic Crusaders based off the Toxic Avenger movie.
Yeah, like how many parents probably like, the kids, oh yeah, you love that Toxic Crusader show. Hey, mommy, there's a movie of that. Can I watch it? Sure. I mean, like, it's like, what?
Swamp Thing, which was more based on the movies than the comics.
Sure.
Right.
You know.
You're right. It's crazy. The Onion Field. Remember the Onion Field cartoon?
Onion Field cartoon.
That was weird.
Apocalypse Now, kids.
No, guys, no.
The opening of Misty Beethoven.
Johnny Get Your Gun was a weird one. Right. I didn't think that.
They had the talking robot in it.
Yes, okay. That's
he became
funny.
an android.
This is all a joke.
They did a $6 Million Man kind of thing and rebuilt it.
For anyone listening, all these cartoons are real.
Yeah. And Larry can attest to that.
No,
Larry, you had a lunchbox for that one.
Ken likes to throw in he's a comedian. So.
I had the Last Tango in Paris lunchbox.
Sure.
Oh yeah, with the butter tray.
All right. Okay. So that's
the world I want to live in.
Yeah. Well, I had an El Topo backpack from the cartoon series.
Oh God.
Wow. Do you remember the cartoon Droogies?
No. Based on Clockwork Orange?
Clockwork Orange, yeah.
That'd be a great skit.
Okay. That's good, guys. Okay, this is
little tiny elfin gang.
Yeah, it's
in a magical forest.
Quite a bit.
Isn't Shining Time Station? Wasn't that based on The Shining?
Shining Time Station. That's good.
This could all work. I don't know why we haven't sold all of these ideas.
Yep. But hey, TV movies, you got your plenty of monsters though too on a budget, right? There are a lot of werewolf TV movies. There's the trilogy. That wasn't a trilogy, but you could put them all together. You had Moon of the Wolf, Scream of the Wolf, and Death Moon, all involving werewolves. Well, at least two of them involved the real werewolves. One of them was a cheat, which as a kid annoyed me, but now I enjoy it.
Remind me which one that's
Scream of the
Wolf, right?
Is Peter Graves and Clint Walker. And there's supposedly a werewolf going around.
But it's not.
But it's not. But it's well written actually. It's pretty well done. And it's a good good story.
Moon of the Wolf, is that the Bradford Dillman?
Yes. David Jansen is the sheriff, and Bradford Dillman is the werewolf.
Moon of the Wolf, I remember because I went through in my grammar school days. I went through a hardcore werewolf phase.
Right.
I just loved werewolves.
Yeah.
And I remember waiting for that to come on.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing like the edge of the makeup.
Movie, it was kind of disappointing. The premise was cool because it was like a new. Took place in Louisiana. It was like the Loup Garou, you know, and a good story. Barbara Rush was in it, but it kind of disappointed. Death Moon was interesting because it was Robert Foxworth gets cursed by France Nguyen in Hawaii and turns into a werewolf. That was kind of cool. But
that's the Yeti one.
Oh yeah. Well, there was one. It's not really a Yeti, but it was like Snow Beast. Yeah, with Yvette Mimieux again. And that was a pretty good one. You don't really see the monster too much, but it's pretty effective. And again, I think Snow Beast actually did come out on Blu-ray amazingly, but all those other werewolf ones haven't.
I think the 1987 Fox TV show Werewolf.
Yeah, I like that show.
Remember that? But the pilot is actually it's a 2-hour movie.
TV movie, right.
And Chuck Connors plays the sea captain werewolf with an eye patch.
Yeah.
And he's terrifying.
And isn't his name Skorzeny? Like they named him after the character
Skorzeny.
Skorzeny. They named him after Night Stalker.
It's good. Yeah. It's good. The show sort of became the Incredible Hulk basically after that.
Yeah, it was a cheap like half-hour series, but not bad, but this movie was good.
It was Fox's linchpin show. It was the first year of Fox TV, and it was the show they put all their money into. So
that's right, because they had actual physical transformation effects with the werewolf. That was kind of like the highlight of it was pretty good.
They spent all their money on Werewolf, and it was a huge bomb. All the money on Werewolf and a show called Mr. President that starred George C. Scott as the president.
Wasn't Madeline Kahn in that
Madeline Kahn played his sister. Conrad Bain was in it. It was a sitcom, and it was awful.
You're right. It was very early days of Fox.
Yep.
The fourth network. That's right.
But the original 2-hour Werewolf TV movie is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll do it.
Did you ever see Curse of the Black Widow?
No.
What's that one?
Basically, Patty Duke Aston turns into a giant tarantula.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Anthony Franciosa, I think, and what's her name? Pinky Tescadero, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Susie Quattro.
Roz Kelly. Roz Kelly.
No, that was Leather.
That's Leather.
Leather Tuscadero, yeah. No, Roz Kelly and Anthony Franciosa, I think, they were like a detective and these weird killings going on. It's like it's a giant spider. I think Dan Curtis produced it, maybe, but that was kind of fun. It was like an actual creature feature.
Do they make a spider? Do they make a giant spider?
You do kind of see like a mostly complete giant spider at the end. It's not bad for what it is, you know.
Ken, you bring up something that was really traumatic in my life because
Lunchboxes.
No. When Fox became that fourth network, there was a TV station that Matt and I grew up watching as kids. It was KTVU Channel 2, and it basically changed overnight. They used to be a great little local TV station that covered the Bay Area, the San Jose, San Francisco area. It was pretty big, but it's like when that Fox thing came in, it's like all the regular cool stuff, Captain Cosmic or Charlie and Humphrey, all their great little things that they had that made them so special and unique as a little TV station was gone. And then we had to look at Mr. President or whatever. And I remember and it's like, I remember I couldn't watch it, and it was a really difficult time.
It's nerdy and interesting to me, but the way that Fox managed to make themselves a network is pretty fascinating because they were when they first came out, they were called Fox Weekend Television because it was only on the weekends.
Oh.
So basically what they did was they were like, we can't just create a bunch of new stations, so we're going to go rent the weekends on all these UHF stations. So Fox was only on Saturday and Sunday night for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And as it got more popular, they slowly sort of rented another night and then another night until they made all those stations into Fox stations.
Wow.
It was a weird business model.
Which is also, and that was like the death knell also for us, growing up watching
programming,
horror movies and late night television, like on local station and horror hosts and stuff like that. That for the most part went away, Well,
infomercials really killed that too when they basically figured out why are we paying? Because it was, they'd show the stuff we liked because it was the cheapest stuff they could find.
Right.
But they were like, wait a minute, we don't even have to pay anything for you're going to pay us. This? And so it was fun,
And as you were talking about how TV movies went away too, I mean, they became like the Lifetime movie of the week, but also when once cable TV hit and home video rental and pay-per-view, even theatrical movies now playing more on television. Once that happened, it was like, why bother producing original TV movies in a way, like, because people have access to theatrical films so easily.
There was a sweet spot from like 80 to about 84 when they kind of didn't know what would win out. Mm-hmm. So you were getting tons of content. So you had TV movies, cable movies. We still had exploitation theaters. There were still drive-ins.
Right.
Video was blowing up. So you got this huge boom of making all kinds of weird stuff for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, none of these work.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's when Wes Craven did those TV movies.
Right.
That's when, you were getting tons of weird stuff and it was such a little boom that
because those TV movie openings, like the ABC movie of the week and NBC Saturday Night at the Movies, that little theme music and those visuals were like burned in your mind, you knew it was something cool coming up, and it was just like
and now thanks to the internet, now we can actually revisit those. I get chills sometimes when I hear those, like, because the CBS theme, every time they aired the Planet of the Apes movies on CBS, that movie of like Thursday movie of the week music would come up. And now I looked it up. It was actually composed by Morton Stevens, who did the Hawaii Five-O theme.
Oh, wow.
The ABC movie of the week music was Burt Bacharach. It was a song he did called Nikki.
Wow.
And that's pretty easy to find now. But back then it was just on. But it's become imprinted.
Yeah. And do you remember Ken, do you remember like the CBS late movie, the CBS late night movie, which wasn't a movie? It was like 2 episodes of Magnum PI. Something, but they would call it the late movie, which made no sense.
Yeah. They also, CBS in the late 80s did a thing where they tried to roll out new programming in the summertime.
Yeah.
And it was all late night programming. And the
Is
premise,
that when like Silk Stockings and all that
Silk
stuff came
Stockings
in?
and Nick Knight. They aired the Nick Knight 2-hour pilot with Rick Springfield as a vampire cop. And their whole premise was, it's too hot to sleep. Like program started at like 10 or 11 at night, and it was like,
there was some weird one. I can't remember the titles. There was like one where it was like he was like this prim and proper lawyer by day, and he let down his hair, and he's a motorcycle riding vigilante by night.
Yeah.
There's one with Shannon Tweed. She like ran an airline or something. I mean, there's weird stuff, but they were like TV shows, but they were in the Night Stalker sometimes within the slot of the CBS late night movie,
like 2 episodes
or ABC. But it was weird. Like
episodes. The Master, they would air.
Yeah. Would that be where they would play, like they would couple a couple episodes of like Planet of the Apes, and it'd be Life, Liberty, and Pursuit on the Planet of the Apes?
Rinse, wash, and repeat in the Planet of the Apes. It was weird.
Well, Ken, this has been great talking to you about.
It has been.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You are definitely one of us.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Are you gonna sing the freak song for me?
We've done it before.
Yeah. But is there any other, like, you want to do little lightning rounds or
throw out some other titles?
You want to throw out there? Yeah.
Do you got one, Ken, that just right off the bat here?
We've covered most of my favorites. I have to emphasize the Midnight Hour again. It's really fun. And you see Sherry Belafonte get killed to the Smiths' How Soon Is Now while champagne bottles are exploding everywhere in slow motion.
That's a fun one.
Oh, and horny LeVar Burton.
Wow. Right, there you go.
That's rare.
Before the world was ready.
I don't know if I can watch that. Mr. Reading Rainbow? No way. No.
Hey, I have the horny LeVar Burton lunchbox, so there's that.
I was horny LeVar Burton in the Mystery Team
with a robot.
Yep.
Well, we'll get him on the show. We'll talk about it.
That'd be great. I would love that. There's one that I really enjoy, and I think we might have talked about it before, but there's a movie called The Girl Most Likely To.
Oh, yes. Love it.
Stockard Channing. Yeah. And it was apparently co-scripted by Joan Rivers.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's about plastic surgery. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like
Ed Asner.
Yeah, it's like a dark black comedy where she kind of gets revenge on people.
She's this overweight, homely looking girl who is constantly made fun of, and the cool people surrounding her do these terrible pranks to her, and it's just horrible. And then she gets into an accident, she gets plastic surgery, and now she's beautiful.
Right.
And she's so beautiful that nobody recognizes her. So she goes after all the people that tormented her and kills them in different ways. And it's lighthearted.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a black comedy. Yeah.
Super entertaining.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then check that one out.
And then this is, I guess you could call this science fiction, but I have a soft spot for The Boy in the Plastic Bubble.
Oh yeah. Sure.
That was hugely popular. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And a lot of the imagery in that thing sticks with me too. And
let's not glide through The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. This is John Travolta,
It's John Travolta, and this is early in his career.
Directed by Randall Kleisner.
Yeah.
Who went on to do Grease. So I mean,
and it's based on a number of true stories about kids who were born without any kind of
immune system.
Yeah. And so he's one of these kids, and he has to walk around in this spacesuit, and he falls in love with this girl in the neighborhood who obviously doesn't have that problem. So there's some trouble in their relationship. There's some difficulties. But at home, it's like he lived in this giant habit trail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And I remember he had a mouse, I guess, or it was a mouse or a rat.
A gerbil or a hamster.
Yeah, something like that they had made, they sterilized it. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah. But I always remember the finale of that and getting, just as a little kid, not having all that many, like I'm going to fall into some romance story, but really getting sucked into that finale.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to give it away, but it's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, I'm just gonna lay off some titles. I mean, the Norless tapes, which is kind of like a Night Stalker, Roy Thinnis investigating supernatural stuff. The Phantom of Hollywood, Jack Cassidy as this guy haunting a studio lot.
And that was the
MGM, I think.
MGM lot.
Yeah,
yes,
they were really tearing it down. So they had
And
that's a great one.
I forget, one of you let me borrow it because I hadn't seen it. And watching it, it's like, oh my God, looking at all these grand, lavish sets.
Yeah, that's a good one. Scream Pretty Peggy is a great one with Bette Davis and Ted Bessel. And there's like these weird killings going on. This girl staying at this boarding house or something. The Stranger Within, Barbara Eden mysteriously gets pregnant, but she swears she didn't have an affair and her husband doesn't believe her. It's because it's like an alien impregnation.
It's a Richard Matheson.
Really good. Of course, the bees one. There's killer bees, savage bees, ants. There's so many. I mean, I love all of them.
Hey, what's Sean? This is one that I looked up. It's called It Happened at Lakewood Manor.
That is the alternate title for Ants.
And that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah. Ants is like, it's like this, club where people or place people are staying at like a hotel, and it's invaded by these killer ants. You got Suzanne Summers, Robert Foxworth, Bernie Casey, Myrna Loy is in it.
Myrna Loy, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, those are fun. I could go on, but there's some other ones that I love.
We'll have to do another one of these.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Larry, do you have any lightning round?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I mean, I could say, I brought this up before. I didn't want to Larry's going off again. It was like a 2-night event. That was Frankenstein, the True Story.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
That's a classic.
Yeah, it really is. Handsome production. Really
so
well done.
Amazing. The
Holds
guy.
up.
It really does.
Today, amazing cast with James Mason, James Mershon, and Leonard Whiting,
David McCallum.
Yes, and it just Jane Seymour, and countless others. And
I've had James Seymour on my show.
Really?
I'm so jealous.
Can we get a number?
Jealous.
That's great.
You have her number.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
wow.
Gorgeous. She will never not be gorgeous.
Yeah, one of the most beautiful
hilarious.
actresses ever. Yeah.
Super down to earth and very funny.
Oh,
Really?
great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she wrote, quick sidetrack, she wrote a comedy sketch because she thought that Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman would have basically gotten all the people in the town hooked on cocaine and methadone and morphine and alcohol because those are the only things she could prescribe. So she wrote this sketch where Dr. Quinn basically is like the kingpin of this town because she's everybody's dealer.
That's hilarious.
She called it Dr. Quinn like morphine dealer or something.
Oh,
That's great.
oh my God, that sounds like Saturday Night Live would love to do it.
Tell her we love her.
Yes.
I actually I had a 1-hour flight once where I sat next to her on a plane.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't want to be like that fan she's trapped sitting next to, so I didn't say anything to her, and I pretended to read a magazine. But in my head, all I'm thinking is, holy shit, I'm sitting next to Jane Seymour. Holy shit, I'm sitting next to Jane Seymour.
That's awesome.
Did you just start humming Live and Let Die?
I told her. Yeah.
She's shockingly down to earth.
Wow,
that's
that's
awesome.
great. That's great.
You could have asked her about Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. There's so many things you could have asked her about.
But she's trapped with me. I didn't want.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
Like, yeah,
I'll be that guy.
Okay. All right.
I got some titles to throw out here.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The Night That Panicked America, which was the 1975 co-written by Nicholas Meyer, who did Star Trek II.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Shenar doing Orson Welles, recreating the whole night of his War of the Worlds broadcast.
Yeah.
That was very, very, very sophisticated for its time. Very fast moving too. Vic Morrow's in it. John Ritter's in it. Satan's Triangle, also from 1975.
Yes.
I love that one.
Kim Novak.
Yeah.
Doug McClure.
Creepy one.
Alejandro Rey from The Flying Nun. Very, very creepy, and a twist ending. You just like completely throws you.
Nowhere in sight on DVD, VHS, anything.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. That movie is one where talk about not seeing anything coming.
Yeah.
And it's extremely cinematic. It's not as talky as a lot of these other.
Yeah, it's well done. That's the thing about like when you had different production companies making these. So like the styles varied a little bit. Sometimes you get really good ones, sometimes you get so-so ones, but that was healthy. I think you get like a lot of different companies making them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the writer was named Billy Woodfield, and he had done some Mission Impossibles, but the only feature film he did was The Hypnotic Eye from 1960.
Really?
Go figure.
God.
Some of these
I love that movie.
come out of,
That's crazy.
The Cat Creature from 1973, which is actually a mummy story.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Bloch screenplay.
Yep.
David Hedison, Meredith Baxter.
Curtis Harrington directed, right?
Right.
Yep.
Who Slew Auntie Roo and What's the Matter with Helen? Devil Dog, Hound of Hell. Right.
Classic.
A classic. A classic.
Howling in the Woods, which reunited Bob Reed and Larry Hagman.
That's a weird one.
John Rubinstein, very moody. And then finally, my personal favorite, which I mentioned on the show before, One of My Wives is Missing with James Franciscus and
Jack Klugman.
Jack Klugman is a detective, and Elizabeth Ashley is a woman who is his wife, but he doesn't recognize her as his wife, and everybody else is pretending she's his wife.
He swears it's not his wife. Yeah.
It's gaslighting him. It's driving him crazy.
Yeah.
And it's
or is it? Yeah, that's a good one.
It was actually made before with Janet Leigh in 1969 called Honeymoon with a Stranger, where she was in the James Franciscus role. And that in turn was based on an older British movie called Chase a Crooked Shadow, where it was Anne Baxter. But One of My Wives is Missing is just a really riveting and compelling TV movie. So that's my bad Ronald. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice one, James.
Thank you.
Well, Ken, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It was just a thrill to listen to all the films that you brought up, and just loads of fun.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
And we hope we'll have you on the show again.
Yeah, we could easily do another one of these.
Yeah, I mean, you know where to find me. I'm at home.
But Ken, if people want to listen to you, where can they find you?
So my podcast is TV Guidance Counselor. You can go to tvguidancecounselor.com or any of the podcast platforms. I'm also at ikenreid.com, IKENREID. And there's links to all my social media and all that stuff there. And that's where I am.
You're all over the place.
I'm all over the place. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
Well, then I'd like to raise my glass and let's all toast Ken Reid.
Ken Reid!
And TV movie flashback.
All right.
Time for listener shout out.
Shout out.
We have two shout outs. Both for longtime listeners who have recently bought Monster Party merch on our eBay store.
Cool.
Hey.
Oh my goodness.
Out to Robert Freeborn from State College, Pennsylvania.
Robert.
Hey.
Oh my God.
That's cool.
Fantastic.
Hey.
I bet he's just wearing that shirt all over the place. Just looking nice.
He's representing in your hometown, Sean.
Oh,
That's right.
Also to Thomas Fitch from Chicago.
All right.
Who we had the pleasure of meeting and hanging out with at G-Fest.
That's right, yeah.
Who says, hope to see the Monster Party crew at G-Fest next year. Sean and Larry, you two would love it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would. Yeah.
Oh,
hopefully we can make that work.
Yes.
Thomas, we're going to try to make it work.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's all hope that the world makes that work.
Yes.
Our merch, by the way, is still available in different sizes on our Monster Party eBay store, which is Monster Party Store. $20 for either a shirt or a cap.
$20.
$20. Shipping free for now. Free shipping.
Yeah. This could end at any point, just to let you know. The free shipping thing, we don't know how much longer we can do it.
Oh my God.
We're going to try to keep it going for as long as we can. But hey, man, it's $20 free shipping.
Yeah, you can't get a lunchbox for that price.
No. You can't get an Equus Lunchbox.
You can hit us up on our Facebook, or you can go directly to our eBay store. Totally up to you. But yeah, Monster Party merch. Get it while it's hot.
Yeah. And caps are also $20 too. Did we say that?
Right. Caps. Yeah. With many, many, many stitches on that.
It's a high quality cap and
Very
a high quality shirt.
You know what? I'm just going to throw this out here. It's a good looking cap.
It's a smart cap.
It's a smart cap. You know, you're going to do yourself a favor. You're going to walk into a room and people are going to go, "Who's that?"
And you know who owns a Monster Party cap now?
Who?
Clint Howard.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And he
follow Clint Howard's advice to buy a cap.
And let's also remind our listeners that you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV, on Twitter at Monster Party HQ, our Instagram handle also Monster Party HQ. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, please take a moment, write a review. We will definitely read it on the air.
Yes, we will. And I would like to say something about Patreon. Monster Party has a Patreon account, and if you spend merely $5 a month,
$5.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. You will get bonus audio, bonus video, and you will get special gifts if you order merch. So let's say you order a t-shirt, you order a cap, we will throw in some added goodies donated to us by Jason Lindsay and Biff Bang Pow Toys. Yeah. But you have to join Patreon, and all you got to do is you got to go to patreon.com, look up Monster Party, click join, follow the instructions, and a whole new world awaits for you. Inhabit it. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Have your own TV movie flashback. I'm having one now. Hi, James Ferrantino.
No, I think that's Ray Milland.
No, it's James Mason.
I think it's Kim Darby.
Oh, no. I know who it is. It's Satan.
You got Dr. Tongue shirt. That's awesome.
See,
oh, yeah.
You see, but this is good. He's got real stuff. He's not one of these guys that goes, "Hey,
Real stuff.
Whoa. Hey, hang on there."
Matt, you said crazy feedback.
Yeah, crazy feedback.
When you just said that.
If you're not familiar with the show, what we'll basically do when we get started is, Matt introduces the show. We introduce each other. We say what the topic is, and then James is going to introduce you. And once we introduce you, that's when we'll go to town. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be quiet.
And then if you don't mind, what we sometimes like to do at the end of the show, sometimes we put like little banter or bloopers or something. And like for example, this stuff, we might want to put at the end. No, you don't have any problem with that, do you?
No, not at all.
Fantastic. Great. And as we go through the show, once we get to the end, Ken, we'll want you to plug anything, your show and everything else.
Totally. Plug away.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Give me one more second here, and then
no problem.
Worst comes to worst, I'll just use the other microphone.
Yeah, like I said, you don't
sound
that
fine
bad,
now. Yeah, it was like 1 second you got demonic for some reason.
Yeah.
Hey,
it'll be more than 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken, totally unrelated.
Yeah.
Are you one of these guys who says, "Hey, I want to get myself a classic looking TV. I don't want one of these plasma screens, these big. I want like an old style TV that I can use," because it looks like you got something in the back there.
Yeah, this is a 1968 Motorola that I retrofit, so it's got a flat screen inside.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's the way to do it.
That's clever.
The best of both worlds.
I got a Raytheon TV back when they made consumer electronics.
No.
Over there.
Oh, wow.
And we got a
you got a little one.
There's a bus station Bentley and a RCA portable.
Huh.
And then
Do you remember the astronaut helmet TV?
Oh yeah, in the 70s.
What?
Shawn, my friend Leslie in college had one. I wanted to steal it from her so badly. It's shaped like it's like a space helmet. and it was white, and then that's the visor is basically the screen.
That's a cool idea.
And on the top it had like little knobs. Do you remember this, Ken? It had little knobs.
And the visor went up and down.
Yes, and then it had this antenna. Oh, Sean, it's something you would love.
So it's something now that's super rare and hard to get, I'm sure. It'd be expensive, right?
They pop up on eBay often. They're like,
really?
they're probably like $200.
Yeah, a couple $100.
Not bad.
But and they mostly work. They're portable TVs. They're like late 60s usually.
I mean, even just to have one, even if it doesn't work, just to have it displayed somewhere in a corner, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I got to show you this then.
Yeah. They really look like an astronaut's head, like a severed astronaut's head.
And you know, Ken, when I went to college, I had one of the little box. It was a small TV that I could have right by my dorm room bed, and it had a little screen about like this size. And I would watch Star Trek on it when it was late at night. But damn, my buddy Leslie had that damn.
That's cool.
TV. Oh, I wanted that so badly.
There's a guy in Portland, Oregon, who builds cabinets for modern flat screen TVs. So they're basically entertainment centers, but they make the TV look like a 50s console TV.
That's cool.
They're really cool.
Hey, how do you like this?
Watchmen.
Oh, that's nice.
The greatest game show prize there ever was next to Space Camp.
I
didn't know you had that.
Oh yeah, it still works. And when I got this, under this, there's, as you can see, there's a little Enterprise that I stuck on.
Just a sticker you used to put on there.
Under it is the 49ers logo.
I can see why you wanted to cover.
Wait.
Because that's what I do.
Wait. You put a Star Trek sticker over the 49ers sticker?
I would do the same thing.
I certainly did.
Sean, you got Ken.
I didn't want anyone accidentally talking to me about football.
About sports.
Did you see that ludicrous display last night?
Oh, IT crowd, you gotta love them. And then I got this one. This one I got when I did Comic Strip Live back in
Fox.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this was in the day when they gave you a basket and it had this in it and it had like some fruit and wine and candy.
Okay.
And then and a jacket. Like, when does a show ever do that?
Was that when Gary Kroger was hosting it?
No, it was Wayne Cotter.
Wayne Cotter.
Yeah. Good.
The replacement for Gary Kroger.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Those were amazing times.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. James, do you have any old tech at your place? Do you have any old TV tech at your?
No, but I have an iPod, which you don't see too often nowadays. A classic iPod, but that's about as far back as I go right now.
Mine just died.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
During the 2004 playoffs when the Red Sox were in it.
Oh yes.
Obviously, it's Boston.
And this is baseball.
This is baseball.
Baseball.
Okay.
There was
a big deal.
A guy brought a Watchman to the comedy studio and was watching it during a show.
Wow.
And then someone said something and he's like, "It's the fucking Red Sox." And everyone was like, "Okay."
All right.
Hey, Ken, what's the weather like where you are right now?
It's very hot and humid and disgusting.
Wait, where are you? Where are you located?
Boston.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gross. We lost power last night. We got hit with some of the remnants of that tropical storm.
Wow.
Oh, that's right.
I thought you'd be far enough from that, but okay. All right.
We got hit with high winds, so it knocked our power out a couple hours last night.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know, I grew up on the Cape.
Yes. Yeah. Which town did you grow up in again?
West Yarmouth.
Okay.
Hyannis.
The most Lovecraftian of Cape Towns.
Did you ever just go into Innsmouth just for some fun? The ladies there.
My favorite Cape Town is Sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Only because they have their cops say like sandwich police. And there's a famous headline where a little kid went missing and they found him in the town of Sandwich, and the headline literally said "child found in Sandwich," and nobody thought it was weird, and then you pointed out and they're like, "Oh, now that you say that."
I want to be the sandwich police.
Yeah.
If that were a job, I'd be doing it.
They're always at Subway.
I could see you, Matt. I could see you doing that.
Yeah, I love me a good sandwich, but you know.
I know.
Tonight's topic: sandwiches.
No.
Hey, Ken.
Yes.
Ken, I hope you don't mind. Like what we normally do is in the beginning here, before we do the show proper, we record a little extra, and so I hope you don't mind us putting this. We put this at the end as like a little bonus.
Totally fine. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
I think I may have said that earlier, but
did you? I'm sorry,
but it's okay.
I was still messing with my microphone.
Actually, he was. Yeah, he was
ignoring. It's okay. You ignoring me as you.
No. Normally I would. Normally I would be ignoring you, but this was actually for once technical difficulties.
I see. Well, the last thing.
I will start ignoring you now.
Okay, just really quickly, James. There was that I thought of you when they talked about the shark. There's that big great white shark out by the Cape. Did you see it?
Really? I hadn't heard about that.
We've had a bunch of them. Yeah, there was an attack recently.
Yeah, there was an attack. A woman was it a woman got killed or eaten or something? And
she got injured. Yeah,
James, it's total Jaws. It's total Jaws. And they were doing the whole thing of how the mayor goes, "It's still a lovely day here at the beach," and they played that a lot.
What voice are you doing?
That was from Jaws, the mayor of the town.
Remember Jaws? It takes place in the 1920s. Remember?
The 70s, sir.
Yeah, it was between the vaudeville scenes that they cut.
The bathing suits never got better than that time. I'm sorry.
The 1920s old bathing suits.
Yeah, I still got my striped Popeye number.
Your strongman suit.
Right.
Well, this is great. This has
been great.
All of a sudden, it's not about you, and now you're bored. Okay.
No.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thanks. Sorry you had to be dragged into this dysfunction.
Wait. I have one question because I know we've had a lot of little ideas here. The title.
Yes, because I had a couple possibilities. I was thinking like TV movie flashback, TV movie mania, TV movie memories.
No, what was the other one? You had you had another one. You had a better one. What was the number one? Yeah,
I was a teenage movie.
Retro TV, retro flashback.
Deep TV movie.
I was a TV movie.
I was a TV movie addict.
I like flashback TV movie.
Yeah,
flashback.
TV movie flashback. It's mostly talking.
Well,
about
I like that.
Stuff.
I do like that because then we're talking. I assume we're going to talk mostly about that classic
TV?
70s
TV,
70s, early 80s. Yeah,
and TV. Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Larry.
Well, and
can we mention TV at some point?
If you would, Ken, normally we don't do this, but you're our guest. Break all the rules.
Yeah.
But let's stick to the topic, though. I mean, we're not.
No, we're not, Larry.
When I fixed my car. And this is the difference between
painful childhood memories. We're going right into that.
No. Well, I do have a few that deal with TV.
No, I know, Larry. I know. It's quite obvious. Quite obvious what's going on here.
Okay. All right. This is wonderful.
Right. So we could start this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be good. And by the way, Ken, thank you so much for staying up late.
Yeah.
No problem.
Wait, are you an early riser? Do you like?
Sure. I was before
what's
the
your
apocalypse.
bedtime?
Before the apocalypse.
If we're going for an hour and a half, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, I got to go to bed. I mean, what is your?
No, I can be up forever. I used to never sleep, and then the last few years I was like up at 5 and asleep at 9. But since lockdown happened, there are no more rules.
That's me. I normally don't sleep at all, pretty much nowadays. Yeah.
I hardly sleep. Yeah.
My
3 a.m. I just go wilding.
Yeah, bake some bread. Go find some truffles.
It's like you're in my head.
A lot of truffles in there.
This sounds stupid, but I used to think a truffle is a chocolate. Now, is it chocolate? Then I learned that a truffle is another
kind. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
Both.
There's different kinds of truffle pigs as well.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. I did not know that. You see, you learned something new on Monster Party.
Sure.
That's right.
So,
let's do this.
James is going to give you a lovely interview, and Matt,
interview. He's going to give you an interview.
Introduction. Pre-interview before the actual podcast.
Introduction, and
there'll be a screening.
We're going to workshop this first before we commit.
And Matt, you got the title then, right?
Movie flashback. I was
no
TV movie flashbacks.
Yeah, that's good.
And we're round tabling. We're taking turns on this one.
No, let's just go.
No.
Just keep it loose.
I want to hear what Ken has to say.
Okay. Cool.
But James, that doesn't mean you're off the hook here.
Yeah, we expect you to be going
an
nuts
asshole.
You
got
Budinsky.
You got it.
All right.
All right.
All right, here we go.
This is the new James.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we start?
James at 15.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, I'm turning off my phone.
Thank
Good
you.
idea.
Thank you, Larry.
Stupid thing here. Sorry.
Took it off the receiver, but that's okay.
Okay.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special cathode radiant edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party! It's coming at you!
Coming at you, and then do. Making a kind of Sputnik sound. All right.
Wait.
Yes.
Matt,
It
just happened again.
You went.
That was a Sputnik sound.
Right before you said the Sputnik sound, it went.
Yeah.
This fucking thing.
It was all good up until that.
It was so good. It was so good. You
All
know,
right.
it's like
So
Maybe it's when you're leaning too close to the mic, or maybe you're too loud. I don't know. I can't.
I'm gonna keep it low.
I don't know if that's.
But we didn't have any problems in the pre-show part, right?
no.
No, it was
Except for that
literally
one
just
time.
Yeah,
Not one time, but I think you did the same thing. You like leaned in.
Okay, maybe that's it. Okay,
Yep.
that's it. That's
It
it.
just happened again. It was when you leaned in,
Yeah.
it did it. Yeah.
So if I do that, is that better? Does
Yeah,
that
it's
sound
fine.
good?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, sounds perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
So
it's
do we
just
need to
like-
do the intro again, or whatever?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Pick
Okay.
up. Yeah.
What did you eat tonight? It's at the computer going garlic.
Truffles. All right. I'm going to
Okay.
try not to ruin this.
Okay.
So we just came in, we're laughing, and then
Because I was about to say something about Sputnik, but
Well, you said the cathode radiant edition of Monster Party. That's good. We all went Monster Party, so maybe just pick up from there. Unless you think if you want to be safe to redo it.
let me if Ken, you don't mind, if we could just do this, because it'll be smoother.
You do what you got to do.
All right. Thank you. You're a kind man. All right, here we go.
All right.
The topic is TV movie memories. No, wait a minute. That's right.
You forget?
There we go.
Ken, really quickly.
Yeah.
So you have all these TV guides. So you never did this where you cut the things out and actually pasted them on,
Wow, I never did that.
I did that.
Movie listings.
Really?
Yeah, look, that's a whole page of TV guide because it's
That's cool.
Godzilla. And then Matt had mentioned the show Creature Features, and they would like this is Bob Wilkins right here. He was the host.
That's great.
Of the show.
Yep.
It was the great. Look at this one, the Dracula Rises. And, And what I would do is I would cut these out, and paste them and say I got to see these.
Right.
Yeah, it was the only way to do it. I've scanned a bunch, but I have ones from all over regions, and the local sort of artwork ads for movies. It's just crazy stuff that easily only appeared in this one place.
Yeah. My parents would get annoyed with me after a while because I was marking up so much stuff in the TV guide. It was like,
we had this thing that was called the Pink Sheet in the Bay Area, and it had all the listings and everything. And I remember on the cover of one of them was Moon of the Werewolf.
Moon of the Wolf.
Moon of the Wolf.
Right.
And I remember being so excited. And even in the picture that was on the front of the Pink Sheet, you could see the edge of the werewolf glove.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I'd be every time the TV guide came out at the time, I think it was Tuesday, and I'd be looking in the movie listing section for the horror content, And you'd always be like, is this a horror movie? And like Along Came a Spider. It's like, is it a giant spider?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
the Sting. It has to be about bees.
So like giant wasps.
And for me, because Matt and I are from the Bay Area, Northern California, I can't just find like a regular TV guide because it could be for LA and Los Angeles has I need the one for the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So I just like to try find it, but I've got a bunch of these. It's fun.
Yeah, I'll dig up if I because I've been scanning a bunch because that's how I've been doing the show now because I have to like send people a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
But when I come across Bay Area stuff or horror stuff, I'll
please
send them your way. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And where can you get that Hulk sheet again?
Just Google Ken Johnson Hulk out list, and it'll take you right to it. It's on his website as a PDF. It's so fun.
So Ken Johnson Hulk list.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll come right.
List.
Yeah. Okay. If you can't find it, let me know. I have a PDF of it somewhere, but it's super easy. It's right. He has it read on his own site, and
I've got to get that.
You'll have to stop reading a few times and like take a minute.
Perfect. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm SHAWN SHERIDAN.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
Have your own TV movie flashback. I'm having one now. Hello, James Ferrantino.
Wait, no, that's Ray Milland.
No, it's James Mason.
I think it's Kim Darby.
Oh, I always get Ray Milland and Tim Darby. Tim Darby.
Tim Darby. Hi, I'm Tim Darby.
We need a capper.
James, you need to be faster. You need to be.
We all need to be a little faster.
Come right on top of me.
Yeah.
Fix it in post.
I'd rather not.
Well, the idea is that we don't have to fix it in post.
Okay.
What about, I guess,
Right,
after you say, no, it's Kim Darby, then it's like, do we make a reference somehow to Don't Be Afraid of the Dark?
No, I think we just end it there.
Or like,
it needs
something like do or something like
okay.
Matt was not grown because we like Kim Darby.
What if we did all those and then went, it's Satan because he's in all of those.
Or Matt, you at the very end would say that you just no, it's Satan, and just end like that. Maybe?
Something.
Yeah, something.
Or when he says Kim Darby, we go, oh.
Yeah, that could work too. That's what kind of, we could try that too. Either way, let's do it.
Let's try it.
Let's do the recognition at the end. Like, oh yeah, let's try that. No? Okay, then do the Satan thing. Then they should get, then Matt said at the very, very end, just say something like, no, guys, you're all wrong. It's Satan, or something like that.
Or because he says it's somebody else, and then you come back to Darby, Matt should go, oh, I'm sorry, it's Satan.
Yeah, something like that.
Like he realizes he made a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's Satan.
There you go.